Armada Book 1 Chapter 7 The Recruit Part 3. Outside the apartment, Ellie asked, "How is Sir Andrew doing?" "He's still in the house. Let's go to an old friend in Los Angeles. Here's the address." Olive was quick. They found themselves in the bushes in front of a large house in Beverly Hills. "Who is this person now, Ellie?" "This is my best friend from college, Maria Weller. Let's go to the door." Ellie rang the bell and a maid in white uniform opened the door. "Hola Teresita, ¿cómo está? Remember me?" Teresita's face changed to a wide smile. "Hola Ellie, good to see you." She embraced Ellie and kissed her on one cheek. Ellie hugged her back and kissed Teresita back. "Maria is not here, only the kids. She said she'll be back at 8 p.m., 5 minutes from now. Have a seat. How are you doing? You still look very pretty, especially in your uniform." "Why aren't you in uniform? Are you still in the Air Force?" Teresita asked. "Yes, I am." "How are the kids?" "Well, they're bigger now." "And Luis and Carlos?" "Luis is working in an apartment in the valley and my son Carlos is in college." "That's good. What does he want to be?" "He wants to be a pilot like you and he's taking aerospace engineer in San Jose. You have always inspired him since he was a small boy. It's a little costly but Maria volunteered to pay for everything." "Good for you, Teresita. Let me get you something, sit down anywhere." They barely sat down when the door opened. "Hello Maria." Ellie greeted her. Maria, surprised, dropped her bags and walked quickly towards Ellie and gave her a big hug. Maria kissed her on the left cheek, then another kiss on the right, then another tight hug. "How are you? It's been like 12 years. Maria exclaimed. "Yes, 12 years, this is Olive." "Hi Olive, so are you getting married?" "Heavens no. I came here to offer you something." "Business. I am tired of business. Let's just get drunk and talk about the last 12 years. Well, part business, part family and part personal." "You have a man for me?" "No, let's go outside. I want to tell you what I do and what I want to offer you." They went out into the front of the house behind the wall. Maria was headed for the street. "Maria, come here, where are you going?" Ellie whispered loudly. "To the car. You have a car, don't you?" "I mean just outside here, not anywhere." "Well, you have to be more specific." "Olive, let's go." Olive beamed them to the spaceport. Maria was stunned, so Ellie had to hold her hand and lead her to the main glass hall. "Where are we? What just happened?" Ellie answered her questions, explained to her everything and told her what they were working on and how she can fit into the scheme of things. Then she brought her to planet Los Angeles and showed her around. Then they got back to Andrew's ship where she gave her the tablet with Andrew's market study and information. "You'll find the things the Macs and Inkeys need in this tablet and where you can get them. It really needs your personal approach in doing things. So all I have to do is to bring goods and services to other planets from Earth. I have to move my kids and Teresita's family to that planet and in the process make a lot of money. And maybe meet some handsome starship officer. Yes, except for the last part. But you can get lucky. I mean, where do I sign?" "Nowhere except on the non-disclosure form you already signed." "Okay, just beam me back and I'll see you next week for my plans." They hugged and Olive beamed her back to her house. The next day at the morning mission session, Andrew comes into the room singing a song and oblivious to the chatter in the room. "Okay guys, any special report or issues yesterday and for the day?" The room suddenly kept quiet for a few minutes. "Okay, dismissed, make sure you do your recruiting chores today," Andrew said. Andrew left the room and headed for his room. "What's with the guy?" Roger asked, pointing to the door. "It's a long story, you could say he met an old flame," Ellie said. "Tell us, we're all ears." Ellie told them about Andrew and Olive's recruiting mishaps and how her dad set up Andrew to meet Vicky. They were laughing before she could finish. Olive appeared. "I now realized what adult entertainment is and now I get the joke. It's not only that, the whole day was a misadventure for a hologram and the leader of the Armada. In the end he has not recruited anybody," Ellie said. "There is a high probability he will be able to recruit Vicky. That would be the recruit for him," Ellie said. "Daisy sent you a message that the NASA scientists group meeting is set this afternoon at 3 p.m. Would you like to confirm?" "Yes, Olive, and what is General Man's schedule for today?" "He did not set any, but he is dressing up pretty well, so I assume he will be going to Dr. Pine's. I guess you're getting the hang of it. Let's go to India, a girl there is tops on my list, then we'll go to Japan, then Germany. Hopefully we'll see those guys in Florida at 3. Can you move the meeting out of the city, say to a warehouse so nobody will notice?" It was almost 2 p.m. and Ellie has finished talking to the 3 scientists from the 3 countries. She gave them some money and they each promised to go to the US within the month after they wind down their work and make travel arrangements. Ellie, Andrew is free and he is just waiting at the gardens of Dr. Pine's office. Do you want to invite him to go with you to the meeting? Olive showed Andrew sitting beside a tree. He looked so lonely and sad. That's nice of you, Olive, let's go and invite him. They beamed inside a women's restroom and went to invite Andrew to Florida. Andrew accepted since he had nothing to do until Vicky comes out of the meeting at 7 p.m. Thanks for inviting me. I had nothing to do and I have nowhere to go. Olive beamed themselves to the back of an abandoned warehouse surrounded by tall uncut grass and shrubs. They started to walk around towards the front entrance. These are the group that the president pulled out of their jobs. They are all in the list. Ellie explained to Andrew. They saw a lot of cars in the parking lot and some of the Macs and Inkeys dressed as and in the image of Marines have secured the area. They opened the warehouse door and got in. There were 32 men and women scattered around the warehouse floor. Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lieutenant Colonel Rivers, this is General Mann and Olive. Andrew noticed they were all standing because there were no chairs or anything in the warehouse. Andrew whispered to Olive, there are no chairs or tables here. Olive whispered back, I did not see the need. One of the scientists in a crisp suit said, hello, are we going to talk standing? Ellie was taken aback but didn't mind, it will only be for a short while. We just want all of you to sign this non-disclosure form before we proceed. She handed the forms out with some pens. Olive, that guy who spoke is not on the list, that other guy there is also not in the list. Ellie called the Inkeys and Max who assumed the image of Marines to escort the two persons out of the warehouse and send them home. Make sure you see them drive off the parking lot. Andrew said. There was a commotion when the two guys resisted. The crisp-suited guy was almost shouting said to Andrew and Ellie, my name is Dr. Barron and I was told by the office of the president to join this group. I am not leaving without my 4 assistants here. The other guy also said, I am Dr. Shasta and I was reassigned with this group and out of my project without my consent and you are telling me I am not with the group. There must be some mistake. You both are not in our list and I would request that you leave. Ellie said. Tell us why we should leave and what is this meeting all about? It's classified top secret. Please leave now. Ellie said. Either you leave peacefully or we will cuff your hands, throw you in the trunk of your car and drive you home. Please. Andrew said. Andrew whispered to Olive, does these Macs know how to drive? No, Andrew. Andrew looked at her, disbelieving. The office of the president will hear about this outrageous and rough treatment you gave us. Barron threatened them. Thank you, sir, and please leave. Ellie said politely. Nobody said a word until the 2 cars left. One by one, please give us your signed forms and introduce yourself. Andrew told the group. They each handed their signed forms and introduced themselves quickly. Olive was intently looking at their face and forms until she noticed one form. Andrew, this is not Dr. Mahal's signature. Excuse me, Dr. Mahal, this is not your signature. Andrew said. Olive asked, aren't you the one married to Mario and have a daughter named Roxanne? Yes, I am. How would you know how my signature looks like? Anyway, I have 3 signatures, do you want me to sign all 3? Yes, please. Andrew said. Dr. Mahal signed the paper again on the back of one of the scientists. Olive said, that's the one. Good call, Olive. After a while all the papers were all in. Thank you for bearing with us. I am sure you are used to finer accoutrements in all your meetings, but I want to know what you were told of this meeting. Nothing. It was the office of the president calling our directors, so there wasn't much we can do. Mahal said, and all of the scientists concurred. Ellie looked at Olive, Olive please. In a few moments they were all in the TP room of the space station. Welcome to the U.S. Spaceport. Baker, leading them out into the glass hall. Olive and Andrew walked away talking about something serious. One of the scientists asked, how did we get here? This is Bellono, he will take you all around and into one of our starships. When you're done she will beam you back to the warehouse. Ellie said. Bellono started, hello, I believe you have all signed this form? Ellie left and went to her room to rest. By 6 p.m. she went to the mess hall and saw Andrew talking to Roger and Eric. Hi guys, how was your day? Ellie asked. I was able to recruit some of my classmates from high school. Then my brother and his family, then my sister and family. I was all over the place. I went to Japan to get my sister and her son, then I went to England to get my other sister and her family. Eric said. Hey, I have to leave you globe-trotting recruiters, I have to pick up somebody. Andrew announced. Ellie walked to Andrew, do you want me to go with you, General? I guess, you can, just don't try anything that would jeopardize the recruiting process. Ellie laughed, I won't mess up. Olive beamed them to the parked rental car. Andrew drove straight to Vicky's house. Vicky stood by the door waiting. Andrew saw her from the car and his heart started pumping again. There was a slight shaking as he closed the car door. Vicky looked so pretty in that yellow dress, he sighed. Hi Andrew, hi Ellie, I know of this place in Old Town Pasadena where we can have a quiet dinner. You're the local, let's use your car. They went to the driveway and Vicky gave Andrew the keys. I thought you were driving since you know the place. Okay, you're so lazy. It was just a 15-minute drive and they parked in the public parking which was not at all full and just across the restaurant. In the restaurant, Vicky saw some work friends who waved at them from afar. Andrew and Vicky sat down and had plenty of stories that went with the main course and fine wine. Ellie was busy eating and has been quiet, simply watching. She realized Andrew was the same Andrew she knows, always a quick wit and calm. Although this time he is more relaxed, excited and happy. Suddenly Vicky went silent. You know Andrew, the office of the president is pulling the plug on a lot of research at JPL and I think my research is one of them. The two girls left because they believe their grants would be pulled out. I'm sure you'll get involved in some other more exciting venture. You know I feel there is so much to learn in the cosmos and so little time. And now the government is telling people your work is not important. I am sure the world is unfolding as it should in your favor. I know that line. You should have said the universe is unfolding as it should. From where? Ellie asked. A poem by Max Ehrmann. It really is and you should take things in stride, be cheerful. See, be cheerful. Well I am and I am thinking of writing a book about the endlessness of discovery. You've written 4 books, 2 on astronomy and 1 on astrophysics and 1 on chemistry. Ellie said. This time I will write of less technical and more personal. I'd buy that book. Andrew said. Then one of Vicky's coworkers approached their table and said, did you know that Dr. Barron of NASA's propulsion research was fired today and the group that was to take him did not accept him this afternoon so he's out of work? What private group? No, not private group, they were from the Air Force, Dr. Barron said 2 women and a general, the coworker said. I guess I'm next. Okay, see you later Joan. Andrew looked at Ellie and nodded. Vic, if you could live another 500 years would you feel you have fulfilled your learning objectives, say research objectives? What kind of a question is that? What General Mann means is that if a person could live a life on average 800 years, would that person be fulfilled enough of all his objectives whatever they may be? Ellie explained. I believe that if people were to live a longer life, we would not be too engaging in wars and discords. Longer life is more precious. I guess if you live long enough, a lot of things will mean differently and yes I think people would be more subdued or calm in their strive to find things to be happy about. So now I am at the peak of my career and I have to find happiness when I lose my job. Your peak is yet to come. Your strength in will and spirit will shield you from this small and sudden misfortune. You did it again Andrew. What? Ellie asked. A line from the same poem although a little different. My favorite line is, you are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars, you have the right to be here. I remember the general telling me that, right after we defeated an enemy. General, you were quoting from a poem. The flow of the conversation elicited the proper response, poetic or not. Although that line is how I try to live my life. You are such a Libra. Vicky said and laughed. Vicky grew quiet again. She gently held Andrew's hand on her left and kissed it. She looked at Andrew who was surprised. Ellie's eyes grew wide. Will you marry me Andrew? Vicky asked as gently as she could. Shouldn't I be the one to ask that question? If I leave it up to you, you'll never get around to it. Ellie smiled. Vicky pulled out a box from her purse and opened it. Here's a ring Andrew, ask me now. Now Andrew was stunned. Andrew got the ring from the box and looked at it. Ms. Vicky Pines, will you marry me please? He offered the ring. Vicky pulled it out of the box and let Andrew put it on her finger. She felt Andrew's hands tremble as she guided them. Yes, I will with all my heart. She kissed him lightly on the lips. Andrew looked at Ellie and she has tears in her eyes. Vicky, I am so happy for the two of you, for a long time you lost each other now you've found each other again. She said with some quiet sobbing. Ellie continued, the story of the ring was true all along. What story? Andrew asked. My dad told me this story how a young man who didn't have any money showed him he wanted this diamond ring and to have it done with 8 peridot gemstones but could not afford it so he intended to work to save for it. Now my dad told the father of the girl and both of them went to the store and the father bought the ring and had it done with 8 peridot gems. They had to get it in 2 days but the father got sick and my dad had to get it and bring it to the father who kept it hoping the young man would return. But he never did because he was deployed abroad. And then the girl got married so the dad just kept the ring. Until now, I thought it was one of Dad's corny stories to Mom but the young man was you and the ring was exactly that ring. You know my dad gave me this ring 3 months ago and I asked why and he said you'll know. So I had to resize it because it was a bit small. And when Andrew appeared I knew then why he gave me the ring. And you found each other and got engaged the next day. She wiped the tears in her eyes. It just shows true love will find a way. Now you're starting to make me cry. She looked at Andrew. Why Peridot gems? Right now I am looking at the reasons. He was looking at her green eyes. Vicky just smiled. Did your dad mention my eyes, Ellie? Yes, he did. How about a drink? To the future Mrs. Mann. Andrew offered and they drank their wine. So how is your dad, Vicky? Ellie asked. He's in Washington, D.C. right now doing some lawyering for some politician friend. My mom's a part-time consultant doctor at one of the Kaiser hospitals in L.A. Suddenly Vicky straightened herself up as she saw Olive walking towards them. She did not want anybody to know about her engagement. Congratulations, Mrs. Mann, I am happy for your engagement to Andrew. Thank you, Olive, but I am not Mrs. Mann yet, we have to get married first. I apologize, I thought the ring binds you together forever. It does, but there's a wedding ceremony and things to do before Vicky officially becomes Mrs. Mann. Ellie said. I like to help you with your wedding ceremony. Olive said. Why are you here, Olive? Andrew asked. Andrew, the reception for the French president and the foreign delegation has moved to 8:30 and I believe you need to talk to them. Gosh, I forgot all about it. Am I dressed okay, Olive? Ellie asked. You are very pretty as always and your dress will be subdued by your radiance at the party. And Mrs. Mann, you are very well dressed as well. I am sure they will all be glad to meet you. How about me, Olive? Andrew, you asked me that several times before you went to Mrs. Mann's house. Ellie laughed. I guess being obvious does not count now that you're engaged. I'll get the bill. Andrew said, showing a smirk, a bit annoyed. They walked towards the car at the nearby parking lot and when they got in. Andrew, I will get you to your car in the house. Oh no, Mrs. Mann, you have to come with us to the White House, we only have 30 minutes before the reception. In case you don't know, the White House is in Washington, D.C. Let's go, Olive. Andrew said. The next thing Vicky realized was that they were facing a wall in a parking lot, well lighted and very clean. They got out of the car and Olive beamed them again in a room near the Oval Office designated for the purpose. Andrew opened the door and Olive and the two women went out into the hall. Ellie made sure she held Vicky's hand, guiding her. Hello, Daisy. Andrew said. The president is expecting you. Oh, and congratulations, General, Dr. Pines. She stood up and opened the door. Vicky could see the president and some people. Come, let's go in. Andrew told her. Let me be the first to congratulate the couple. Congratulations, Dr. Pines, the future Mrs. Mann. Albert said as he held his hand out and Vicky held it. I am so proud of you, Andrew, getting engaged to Dr. Pines. Then Vicky saw Timmy and Elaine, who walked over and congratulated them as well with a hug this time. Dr. Pines, this is Julia, the Secretary of State, and her husband Danny. Both of them congratulated them as well. Then Albert introduced the Secretary of Defense and the Chief of Staff, who also congratulated them. I must be dreaming, I was just at this bistro in Pasadena, got engaged, now I'm here in the White House with all of you congratulating us. Do you feel like dreaming when you get engaged, Ellie? Olive asked. Ellie looked at Olive and, I guess. No dreaming in the White House, that's a given rule here. How did I get here? Timmy answered her, that's not important, what's important is that now you have Andrew and Andrew has you. Elaine held her hand and said, I'll help you plan your wedding. I'll take care of inviting anybody you like to invite. Julie added. I'll take care of the catering. Danny said. You can have your wedding here if you like. Albert suggested. We'll have the usual military honors, Harold commented. Andrew, Roden wants to send his best wishes for the two of you and wants to attend your wedding. In fact, he will bring the reception area here for the two of you. The Mac Council also sent their congratulations. What reception area? Vicky asked. Olive produced a hologram of a fat disc made of glass. What's that? Ellie asked. The Inkeys use this to party in space and he is giving this as a gift to both of you. The walls are made of diamond but can project any image you want. So this area can be out in orbit and you could see space from any angle or project images on the walls as if you're underwater or in a forest. It has its own lights and sound system, enough room for 10,000 guests and staff. And it has the standard military-grade shielding. That is so neat, Olive. Tell Roden I would be happy to welcome him and his delegation. And tell the Mac Council we would be happy to have them as well. Albert said. Andrew, the Mac said they will take care of the drinks and all the food. I guess we have a nice place then and some food and drinks. Andrew said. That hologram is so neat, and the disc looks real. Is this all real, Andrew? The universe is unfolding as it should to you, Vicky. Andrew said. Stop that. Okay, I'll play along. She held his arms firmly. It would be the first intergalactic wedding in space. Ellie said. And where will we have our honeymoon, dear Andrew? Anywhere you want in any galaxy. I have a house ready for the two of you in Los Angeles. The government is giving it to Andrew. Danny said. Where in Los Angeles, California? No, in Planet Los Angeles. That is if you both like it. Danny said. Daisy opened the door. The reception will start in 5 minutes. Okay guys, go ahead and I will do my grand entrance. The group went to the reception hall and suddenly all the people were congratulating Andrew and Vicky. Vicky played along really graciously until, I am so happy for you, princess. Vicky saw her dad and she jumped to hug him and started to cry. You never told me you bought a ring for Andrew. I could have waited. I only wanted you to be happy, princess, and I felt at the time you and Andrew could be it. Did you have it resized? It was your size when I bought it. Hello, Mr. Pines. Andrew said. Hi, Andrew, I am happy for the two of you. Her dad said as Andrew shook his hand. Then the president was announced and he walked in. Andrew held Vicky's hand and, come Vicky, let's get out of here. They walked to an adjoining room and, Olive, take us to USSP Baker please. They walked and closed the door to the room and after the usual quick blur, Vicky found herself in the TP room of the spaceport. Olive was waiting at the hall. Come dear, let's walk here. He led her to the glass hall and moved near to the glass wall. This is so neat, how do we get transferred, Andrew? Olive answered her and explained how the TP works. Thanks for the explanation, Olive. Why can't I see this place from Earth? It's cloaked, you know, invisible. Andrew said. Vicky looked up to the left and she could see Jupiter and down to the middle was Earth and much further to the right was the Sun. So this is where you work, Andrew? No, my ship is over there. He guided Vicky to see downwards to the left. Vicky sees a ship way down below her and it said, USS Andrew Man. You have your own ship named after you? I have 30 of those and Olive is my ship's hologram. Olive is not a real person? No, she's my ship's intelligence hologram. But she can be very dumb sometimes. I learn fast though. She's very intuitive and anticipates a lot of things. She takes care of me and my men very well. And now she'll take care of you too. Thank you, Andrew. I did not know we had ships like these. Roden gave them to me and I am angry at him because I was not able to get more. You can't get angry at the giver. I saved his ass and prevented a major war in their 4 galaxies. I also made him a hero and now their great leader. And I supply him 3 shipload of diamond every 24 days with cargo ships bigger than that ship. He stopped and looked at Vicky. I guess you could say we're best friends. That's a lot of diamond, Andrew. She held up her ring and looked at the small diamond. Andrew laughed. We have diamond Ellie call stones and each of them is the size of your house. Rocks are even bigger. But the only diamond I see that's of endless value was the one I could not afford to give you. Vicky just smiled at him. I want to see your ship. Olive, please. They found themselves in the bridge. Welcome to my office, Vicky. That is my chair. Let me show you around. After a while, I want to see your room, Andrew. And no, you're not going to get lucky. Olive beamed them to Andrew's suite and Vicky got to look around. Andrew, the president has finished his speech and we may need to go down now. Very well, come my love, let's face our destiny. Shut up. Where have you two gone? I've been looking all over for you. I thought you had a good one already. Timmy asked. Andrew just laughed. I showed Vicky the spaceport and my ship. Timmy, I want you to be my best man. Andrew, if you did not get me as your best man, I'll shoot you. Elaine held Vicky's hand. So how was your walk around? Did he get lucky? Hell no, what's up with you two? Andrew started to walk towards the foreign generals group. The spaceport was impressive and Andrew's ship was huge. Ellie donated her ship just like Andrew's as a science ship to our university in Planet Los Angeles. I hope you will decide to live there and head the science center and all the intergalactic research being done in the planet. You can use the ship for your work. Is that a job offer? Albert cut in. Well, Vicky, I shelved your projects to motivate you to move somewhere else so you can do a lot better. Like Elaine said, you can use the science ship to study the universe. We have data on the galaxies and advanced technologies that need thousands of human minds to understand for the next 10,000 years. Okay, let me designate you officially as the head of all off-world science and research and based on Planet Los Angeles. Will you accept it, Mrs. Mann? Yes, after the wedding. When do you plan to have it? Timmy asked. In 3 months. Good, more time to prepare. If you need anything from my office, all you have to do is ask or tell Olive. Olive is becoming very handy. The science ship has a hologram. His name is Tom and he's really very useful in anything. Let me guess, Tom looks like the ex-husband of Olive. Yes, it's one of Andrew's pranks. Figures. In the middle of the next month of October 2058. Julia stepped into the office of the President of the Philippines. President Jem Lopez, I am glad to finally talk to you. Congratulations on your election. Thank you. Have a seat, Madam Secretary. I hope your trip was pleasant. Your reception was very pleasant. So what is it that you need to tell me personally about? We would like to offer your country a statehood in the United States of America. You were once a commonwealth of my country, so I hope you will give this some thought and bring this offer in a referendum to your people. Of course, if you agree, we would set off the process in the two houses so they would approve your status in a few months. Why are you doing this? First of all, it is not because we want to put up a base here. As you know, we have cut our military spending by a quarter and closed several bases all over the world. Also, we are not after your resources. You are aware that the U.S. economy has been growing by at a minimum of 8% for the past 2 years. The fusion economy has made our country the new source of cheap energy. We are after your people. Our economy needs people to work. Your unemployment rate is close to 18%, and if you factor in the underemployed, that rate would reach 26%. We would be able to give employment to all your able and willing workers. We would stabilize your prices, and we would pump in at least $500 billion for infrastructure, foreign loan paydowns, importation of capital equipment, and we will write off all your loans from our government, which presently stands at $120 billion. How about military equipment? You have no need for them. What would you need them for? We have insurgents down south. Our intelligence tell us that they are not a nuisance. In fact, they have negotiated a truce along economic lines with your military. But if it will help you approve the offer, we are willing to provide military aid. We also offer to bankroll the referendum you would have to do. Frankly, I do not want to be the last president of the Philippines that turned the country over to a superpower. Your offer makes a lot of sense, but I would expect the opposition to have a blast attacking our party based on nationalistic grounds. They will not see it as beneficial to the country but an affront to self-governance and independence. Mr. President, I am making this offer to almost all developing countries. I already have 3 sub-Sahara African countries that have agreed to hold a referendum. I also have 2 Asian countries willing to go through the process. 5 European countries are in the pipeline. All I ask is to let this thing go through the process, and if your people reject it, then we will accept the results. If you agree, we will exert all efforts to convince your people, and believe me, we are absolutely good at doing this. Another issue is that U.S. laws will supersede local laws. Not really. We have 50 states, with Puerto Rico becoming the 51st state back in 2028. Several states are commonwealths, they have their own laws, and some are in conflict with federal laws. These things happen, and they have for more than 100 years. Tell me, Mr. President, as candid as you may please, is it because of the interest of the entrenched families or the inability to be less corrupt than they already are? Jem thought for a while. That too, and you have to factor in the military entrenched in politics. All these will go away. A lot of people do not want this to go away. You know how it is. If you do not agree, we will offer permanent residency to your qualified citizens before they even leave your shores. You will lose your best people in the millions in a year. And don't count on their remittance back to your country, because we will get all their family members and they will not have any other family to remit their money to. And the qualification of the workers is not high at all. We will recruit even your unskilled laborers. Did the foreign ministers of Germany, Canada, and Australia talk to you about this? I guess you know of their activities. Yes, they offered the same but a lot less money on the table, but they intended to give citizenships to qualified workers. If you notice, countries are trying to redraw the map of the world. It would be wise to side with the strongest and richest country in the world. Can you tell me why are they redrawing the map? For people. For the labor. I know this will take time, but you have to tell me at least your inclination. Frankly, I would agree. But it will be a long and riotous road. The end result is not assured. I do not control all the critical people. But since I agree with you, I will talk to my party and convince them to do so. That's all I want to hear. In the meantime, we will buy a building across our embassy where we will process the immigrants who wants to go to the United States. We will start advertising and promoting our immigration website and services to your travel agents. I hope these will help your party and be a deterrent to your opposition's moves. Back at the U.S. Embassy in the Philippines. The drones we beamed showed the president will not honor his word. It appears he only told you that he agreed so you can leave happy. It does not matter, we will continue with our recruitment operations. He just does not understand where the world is going to. We will arrive in Rangoon before midnight tonight. Our meeting with the president is at 8 a.m. We would be in Hanoi after lunch, and our meeting with their president will be at 6 p.m. Blondie said. Good, let's have some dinner with the staff. Julia said.